Okay, here we are, folks. We're at 6-3. We're finally getting to the heart of the chapter. We're talking about probability. We've been good at counting things. Now we're going to put it to use. The definition of probability, I hope you guys know this from last year in IM1, but it is where we say it's the number of favorable events. Sometimes books call it outcomes, but we're talking about things happening, and things that we're interested in we'll call favorable events, and that's divided by the number that's total. All right, so we've got the total events on the bottom, and we're comparing that to the number of things we're interested in, or the favorable events in the top. That is the simple definition of probability, and we'll be putting that to use over and over again. Our first definition that regards this is if we have events that are not overlapping, okay, like A or B, we can just simply add their individual probabilities. All right, so A and B must not be overlapping, and we call that mutually exclusive. All right, so for example, if I have a die and I'm going to roll a fair die, and I'm asking if it's what's the probability of it rolling a 6 or a prime number. Okay, well, just a little check here to see if you know how to count your primes. We do not consider 1 a prime number, so that's 2, and that's 3, and not 4, of course, but 5, and then not 6. So we're saying what's the probability of a 6 or a 2, 3, and 5? Well, that's 4 outcomes. 6 plus those 3 over a total of 6, so we'd say that's 2/3. You can write probability in 3 acceptable ways: as a fraction like that, or as a percent. So we could say 66 2/3%, or we can express it as a decimal. In this case, it would be 0.6 repeating. All right, all 3 of those methods are acceptable. Sorry, I chopped it off there. All 3 of those methods are acceptable. Fraction, percent, or decimal related to the number 1, 1 being 100% chance. And sometimes it depends on the problem or the way it's asked for how you answer it. Okay, so moving right along, we are now going to talk about complementary events. Okay, complementary events are events, 2 events, whoops, went the wrong way. 2 events that are mutually exclusive, and they combine to include all possible events. All right. So an example would be if we're rolling a die and we want to know about odd numbers and even numbers, we'd say those 2 events are mutually exclusive, and the probability of those added up would be 100%. So if I said, what's the probability of odd or even, we'd say it's 100%. Okay. Also, I could say, if I'm going from a deck of cards, and you guys maybe need to learn a little bit about playing cards, because occasionally people don't realize that an ace is not a face card. But if I said the probability of a face card and an ace through 10, those would be mutually exclusive, and they also describe all of the cards in the deck, because we do not assume jokers to be part of a real 52 card deck, so know that. Anyway, these are complementary events. Together they make up all of the cards in the deck. What are not would be odd and even from a deck of cards, because of course we're missing out on the face cards. Alright, so you have your chance in your homework to think of examples of these. Okay, then finally I want you guys to know about odds. Alright, odds are a little bit old-fashioned. It often relates to betting and gambling, so you don't see it very much in math books, but you need to know about it. And when we work out the odds of something, we simply are comparing the favorable part to the unfavorable part if we're talking about odds in favor. Okay, if we're talking about odds against something, then we would just swap these, switch them up and down, and we'd say the unfavorable things over the favorable. All right, so here's our example. A horse is predicted to win 3 out of 10 races. What are the odds in favor of that happening? So we'd say odds in favor would be 3 out of 7, or a lot of times in the betting world it's done this way, 3 to 7. All right, so the odds against that would just be, pause it and think, check, it would be 7 to 3 or 7 to 3 that way. Okay? This is something that's easily forgotten. I guarantee that some of you will have thought it's so simple that you'll not study it for the test, but there is a question on the test. There you go. Good luck in the homework.